This is like the rock bottom, that this is the most important issue, that ultimately what I'm hearing from you and from many other people when I have these discussions is ultimately the customer is always right, the voter knows best, people know deep down, people know what is good for them, people make a choice, if they choose to do it, then it's good. That has been the bedrock of at least Western democracies for centuries, for generations. And this is now where the big question mark is. Is it still true in a world where we have the technology to hack human beings and manipulate them like never before, that the customer is always right, that the voter knows best? Or have we gone past this point? And we can know, the simple ultimate answer that, well, this is what people want and they know what's good for them, maybe it's no longer the case.
Well, yeah, I think that it's not clear to me that has changed, but I think that's a very deep question about democracy.
This is the deepest.
I don't think that's a new question. I think it's people have always.
No, the question isn't new. The technology is new. If you lived in 19th century America and you didn't have these extremely powerful tools to decipher and influence people, then it was a different.
Well, let me actually frame this a different way.
Okay.
Which is, I actually think, for all the talk around is democracy being hurt by the current set of tools and the media and all this, I actually think that there's an argument the world is significantly more democratic now than it was in the past. The country was set up as, the US was set up as a republic, right? So a lot of the foundational rules limited the power of a lot of individuals being able to vote and have a voice, and checked the popular will at a lot of different stages, everything from the way that laws get written by Congress, right, and not by people. So to everything, to the Electoral College, and which a lot of people think today is undemocratic, but it was put in place because of a set of values that a democratic republic would be better. I actually think what has happened today is that increasingly more people are enfranchised and more people have a voice. More people are getting the vote, but increasingly people have a voice, more people have access to information. And I think a lot of what people are asking is that good? It's not necessarily the question of, okay, the democratic process has been the same, but now the technology is different. I think the technology has made it so individuals are more empowered, and part of the question is that the world that we want? And again, this is an area where it's not that, all these things are with challenges, right? And often progress causes a lot of issues, and it's a really hard thing to reason through. Wow, we're trying to make progress and help all these people join the global economy, or help people join the communities and have the social lives that they would want and be accepted in different ways. But it comes with this dislocation in the near term, and that's a massive dislocation, so that seems really painful. But I actually think that you can make a case that we are at and continue to be at the most democratic time. And I think that overall, in the history of our country at least, when we've gotten more people to have the vote and we've gotten more representation and we've made it so people have access to more information and more people can share their experiences, I do think that that's made the country stronger and has helped progress. And it's not that this stuff is without issues. It has massive issues, but that's at least the pattern that I see, and why I'm optimistic about a lot of the work.
I agree that more people have more voice than ever before, both in the US and globally. I think you're absolutely right. My concern is to what extent we can trust the voice of people, to what extent I can trust my voice. We have this picture of the world that I have this voice inside me which tells me what is right and what is wrong. And the more I'm able to express this voice in the outside world and influence what's happening, and the more people can express their voices, it's better, it's more democratic. But what happens if at the same time that more people can express their voices, it's also easier to manipulate your inner voice? To what extent you can really trust that the thought that just popped up in your mind is the result of some free will and not the result of an extremely powerful algorithm that understands what's happening inside you and knows how to push the buttons and press the levers and is serving some external entity. And it has planted this thought or this desire that you now express. So it's two different issues of giving people voice and trusting. And again, I'm not saying I know everything, but all these people that now join the conversation, we cannot trust their voices. I'm asking this about myself, to what extent I can trust my own inner voice. And I spend 2 hours meditating every day. And I go on these long meditation retreats. And my main takeaway from that is it's craziness inside there. And it's so complicated. And the simple, naive belief that the thought that pops up in my mind, this is my free will, this was never the case. But if, say, 1,000 years ago, the battles inside were mostly between, neurons and biochemicals and childhood memories and all that, increasingly, you have external actors going under your skin and into your brain and into your mind. And how do I trust that my amygdala is not a Russian agent now? How do I know? The more we understand about the extremely complex world inside us, the less easy it is to simply trust what this inner voice is saying.
Yeah, I understand the point that you're making. As one of the people who's running a company that develops ranking systems to try to help show people content that's going to be interested to them, there's a dissonance between the way that you're explaining what you think is possible and what I see as a practitioner building this. I think you can build systems that can get good at a very specific thing, right? At helping to understand which of your friends you care the most about, so you can rank their content higher in newsfeed. But the idea that there's some kind of generalized AI that's a monolithic thing that understands all dimensions of who you are in a way that's deeper than you do, I think doesn't exist and is probably quite far off from existing. So there's certainly abuse of the systems that I think needs to be, that I think is more of a policy and values question, which is, on Facebook, you're supposed to be your real identity. So if you have, to use your example, Russian agents or folks from the government, the IRA, who are posing as someone else and saying something, and you see that content, but you think it's coming from someone else, then that's not an algorithm issue. I mean, that's someone abusing the system and taking advantage of the fact that you trust that on this platform, someone is generally going to be who they say they are. So you can trust that the information is coming from someplace and kind of slipping in the back door that way. And that's the thing that we certainly need to go fight. But I don't know. As a broad matter, I do think that there's this question of is the content that you see, if it resonates, is that because it actually just more matches your interests, or is it because you're being incepted and convinced of something that you don't actually believe and is dissonant with your interests and your beliefs? And certainly all the psychological research that I've seen and the experience that we've had is that when people see things that don't match what they believe, they just ignore it, right? So certainly there can be an evolution that happens where a system shows information that you're going to be interested in, and And if that's not managed well, that has the risk of pushing you down a path towards adopting a more extreme position or evolving the way you think about it over time. But I think most of the content, it resonates with people because it resonates with their lived experience. And to the extent that people are abusing that, and either trying to represent that they're someone who they're not, or trying to take advantage of a bug in human psychology where we might be more prone to an extremist idea, that's our job in either policing the platform, working with governments and different agencies, and making sure that we design our systems and our recommendation systems to not be promoting things that people might engage with in the near term, but over the long term will regret and resent us for having done that. And I think it's in our interest to get that right. And for a while, I think we didn't understand the depth of some of the problems and challenges that we face there. And there's certainly still a lot more to do. And when you're up against nation states, I mean, they're very sophisticated, so they're going to keep on evolving their tactics. But the thing that I think is really important is that the fundamental design of the systems, I do think, in our incentives are aligned with helping people connect with the people they want, have meaningful interactions, not just getting people to watch a bunch of content that they're going to resent later that they did that, and certainly not making people have more extreme or negative viewpoints than what they actually believe.